What if I told you there's a player who's been called the 5 feet 8 inches LeBron James? You'd probably think I'm crazy, right? Well, get ready to have your mind blown because Yuki Kawamura is making that nickname a reality. Let's talk about Yuki Kawamura. He's this 5 feet 8 inches point guard who's turning heads in the basketball world. Why? Because he's doing things on the court that shouldn't be possible for someone his size. Imagine a player who can dribble, pass, and score like he's 6 feet 8 inches, not 5 feet 8 inches. That's Yuki. We're about to dive into Yuki's wild ride from local star to international sensation. You won't believe how this guy went from dominating in Japan to shocking NBA players. But here's the big question. Can a 5 feet 8 inches player really make it in the NBA? Can Yuki change the game as we know it? Let's find out. So, how did Yuki go from dominating in Japan to shocking the basketball world? His journey from local MVP to World Cup sensation is wild. Picture this, a 5 feet 8 inches guy putting up numbers that would make NBA stars jealous. That's Yuki in Japan's B-League. Let's talk about Yuki's dominance in Japan. This guy was unstoppable, racking up MVP and Rookie of the Year awards like they were nothing. But here's what's really crazy, his stats. We're talking 19.5 points, 3.4 rebounds, and 8.5 assists per game. For a guy his size, that's not just good, it's mind-blowing. But here's the thing. Dominating in your home league is one thing. Taking on the world's best, that's a whole different ballgame. Yuki was about to face players who were bigger, stronger, and had way more international experience. How would he stack up? Enter the 2023 FIBA World Cup. This was Yuki's chance to prove he wasn't just a big fish in a small pond. And boy, did he deliver. Imagine this, Japan versus Finland. Finland's up by 18 points. It looks like game over, right? Wrong. Yuki goes into beast mode. He leads a comeback that'll go down in Japanese basketball history. 25 points, 9 assists. But you know what's even crazier? 15 of those points came in the fourth quarter alone. Yuki was on fire, hitting clutch shots like it was nothing. He even nailed a three-pointer over NBA All-Star Lauri Markkanen. That's a 7-footer, folks. After the game, Yuki didn't hold back. He said, "I wanted to show what a short player can do at the World Cup, and show them he did." This wasn't just a win for Japan. It was a statement from Yuki to the entire basketball world. But let's be real for a second. It wasn't all smooth sailing for Yuki. Earlier in the tournament, he struggled against Germany. His shots weren't falling, and people started to doubt. But you know what separates good players from great ones? Bouncing back when things get tough. And that's exactly what Yuki did. From crushing doubts to crushing expectations, Yuki was on a roll. But the ultimate test was waiting, the NBA. Could a guy barely taller than some point guard's shoulders really make an impact in the world's toughest league? The answer would stun players and fans alike. Yuki Kawamura's journey took an unexpected turn when he landed an Exhibit 10 contract with the Memphis Grizzlies. This wasn't just any opportunity. It was his shot at the big leagues. But let's be real. The odds were stacked against him. At 5 feet 8 inches, Kawamura was about to face off against giants in a league where height is king. Picture this. Kawamura stepping onto the court for training camp, surrounded by towering NBA veterans and hungry rookies. The competition for roster spots was fierce, and Kawamura had to prove he belonged. It's like bringing a knife to a gunfight, right? Wrong. Kawamura brought a whole arsenal of skills that nobody saw coming. You know what's crazy? Even the tallest players couldn't help but notice Kawamura's game. Zach Edey, standing at a massive 7 feet 4 inches, was blown away. He said, "He plays bigger than he is. He drives in the paint. He's trying to make plays. He's trying to get to the rim. He's really good." That's coming from a guy who's nearly 2 feet taller. But it wasn't just Edey. Ja Morant, one of the fastest players in the league, couldn't stop praising Kawamura's competitive spirit. Morant was shocked by how Kawamura wasn't afraid to challenge anyone on defense, no matter how quick they were. That's the kind of fearlessness that turns heads in the NBA. During practices, Kawamura was like a tornado on the court. He led the Grizzlies in offensive rebounding. Yeah, you heard that right. A 5 feet 8 inches guy, out-rebounding the big men. And on defense, he was picking up opponents full court, never giving them a moment's rest. Here's where it gets wild. Kawamura's hustle and technique were so good, he was holding his own against much taller players. He'd stick to his defender like glue and contest shots that should have been way out of his reach. It's like he forgot he was supposed to be at a disadvantage. But you know what really started changing minds? Kawamura's offensive skills. He was pulling off no-look passes that had everyone's jaws on the floor. And when he drove to the rim, it was like watching a 6 feet 8 inches player in a 5 feet 8 inches body. Suddenly, people were rethinking what short players could do in the NBA. Kawamura's attitude was all about that heart over height mentality. He wasn't just competing, he was changing the game. Every drive, every pass, every defensive stop was a statement. Size isn't everything in basketball. Kawamura proved he could hang with the big boys, but that was just the beginning. His influence was about to reach far beyond the NBA hardwood. How far? Let's just say he was turning into Japan's ultimate hoop dream. You know what's crazy? Kawamura is not just making waves on the court, he's becoming a full-blown social media sensation. We're talking about a guy with 600,000 Instagram followers. That's not just big, it's huge for a Japanese basketball player. It's like he's not just playing the game, he's changing how an entire country sees basketball. But here's the thing, Kawamura's not alone in this. He's part of a growing trend of Japanese players who are looking to make it big in the NBA. Remember Rui Hachimura and Yuta Watanabe? They paved the way, and now Kawamura is taking it to a whole new level. It's like Japan sending a message to the basketball world. We're here, and we're ready to play. Now, you might be thinking, okay, he's popular on social media, but can he really make it in the NBA? That's the million-dollar question. Kawamura's fighting for a roster spot with the Memphis Grizzlies, and let me tell you, it's not easy. He's up against guys who are taller, stronger, and have been playing in the league for years. But you know what? Kawamura's not backing down. Listen to what he said, I have to get better every single day. Happy to be here. That's not just talk. That's the attitude of a guy who's ready to shock the world. And speaking of shocking the world, that's exactly what Kawamura and the Japanese men's basketball team are aiming to do at the Paris 2024 Olympics. Can you imagine? A team led by a 5 feet 8 inches dynamo taking on the giants of international basketball? But here's what's really wild. Kawamura's success isn't just about him. It's about inspiring a whole new generation of players in Japan. Kids who might have thought they were too short for basketball are looking at Kawamura and thinking, if he can do it, why can't I? It's like he's single-handedly changing what's possible in Japanese basketball. And it's not just kids who are taking notice. After his incredible performance at the World Cup, Kawamura became one of the most visible athletes in Japan. We're talking about a country that's always been crazy about baseball and soccer. Now, basketball's making a serious run for the top spot. You want to know how big this is? More and more young players in Japan are starting to look at overseas opportunities. They're seeing Kawamura's success and thinking, maybe I can make it too. It's like he's opened a door, and now everyone wants to see what's on the other side. It's happening right now with Kawamura. He's not just playing basketball, he's rewriting the rules. If a short guy can dominate like this, what other impossibilities are out there? Who's going to be the next player to break the mold? Basketball's changing and Kawamura's leading the charge. Thanks for watching, subscribe the channel.